member for Lindsay.
Thank you. I rise to echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister yesterday when he presented the Closing the Gap address to the Parliament. I would particularly like to acknowledge the commitment to Indigenous affairs and emphasise the importance the federal coalition has placed on this issue. I am also pleased to note the Prime Minister has delivered on his election commitment to move the responsibility of Indigenous programs to the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. And together with the Minister for Indigenous Affairs are making significant inroads on delivering for Aboriginal people right across Australia. On the 10th of August 2013, the then opposition leader, now Prime Minister, said, and I quote, "What is required is new engagement between black and white people so that we can walk forward arm in arm, brothers and sisters." This reminds me of a welcome to country one of my local Darug men, Uncle Gary, said. Australia is like a piano. You have white keys, you have black keys, but you only get truly beautiful music when you use all the keys together. I believe the Prime Minister and Uncle Gary make excellent points as to what we as a community can achieve if we all work together. I was pleased to see Warren Mundine, Chair of the Prime Minister's Indigenous Advisory Council, attend the Prime Ministerial address. I am so proud to be part of the Abbott government that seeks a truly bipartisan approach to this issue. And it is not just government dictating to Aboriginal people, but asking Aboriginal people to help us lead the way. By working together, we hope to find a pathway to truly solve our collective national challenges. Dreamtime theology often speaks in terms of yesterday, today and tomorrow. By acknowledging our past, working in our present, we can unite for a better tomorrow. I am confident the Prime Minister's Indigenous Advisory Council will ensure the Indigenous programs will achieve real, positive change in the lives of Aboriginal people everywhere and move Australia one step closer to its Close the Gap targets. It is because of all of these elements the Closing the Gap initiative is so vitally important. I would like to recognise the efforts of the previous Parliament in beginning the step to close the gap. The target to halve the gap in child mortality within a decade is on track to be met. As a nation, we are close to meeting the target of 5% of remote children enrolled in preschool and should soon know what percentage are actually attending as well as just enrolled. And the target to halve the gap in Year 12 attainment by 2020 is also on track to be met. These really are wonderful achievements, but there is still so much more work to be done. I am, however, concerned by other details of the 2014 Close the Gap report. Particularly, there has been little improvement towards halving the gap of reading, writing and numeracy. And as an extension of this, Indigenous employment has unfortunately slipped backwards. Furthermore, there has been almost no progress in the improvement of lowering the life expectancy gap that exists for the Aboriginal community. I say as an extension because as members of this Parliament, we would all be too aware it is hard to find work for anyone, particularly without a basic education. And as the Prime Minister stated yesterday, it is also hard to live well without a job. It doesn't take a fool to realise each of these targets we haven't improved on are interconnected and can be advanced over the long term by looking at ways to engage Indigenous children in education. Which is why I was pleased that the Prime Minister moved to add a 7th target to end the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous school attendance within 5 years. I believe all Australian children, in particular disadvantaged Indigenous children, deserve access to a robust curriculum, providing the best possible education to enable young Australian people to have the best start to their best possible life and forge their best possible future. But by doing so, they will also enrich our nation together in return. Finally, Deputy Speaker, I'd like to add that slogans like Close the Gap are meaningless if they don't actually deliver real outcomes in closing the gap. They must address the key challenges faced by these communities in our cities, in our towns, in our rural and remote regions. As the Prime Minister stated, it is important to turn good intentions into better outcomes. The fact this Parliament is committed to delivering real solutions and engaging Indigenous leaders and communities in meaningful discussion fills me with confidence that this government and this Parliament can deliver policy and initiatives that will make significant inroads in achieving the final three and new targets to, in fact, close the gap. Thank you.